There we go.
What's up, y'all?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to this conversation of sorts with Geoff and Geoff.
Yeah, one
How are
one
you, Geoff?
one with a J, one with a G.
Yeah.
I've got my second round of dessert and the last bits of my second round of tea, and I'm here at my desk with a lamp next to me, and it is 11 something p.m. after long days of a list a mile long, and holding together the heartbeats and the thoughts and the words sent down the circuits to return some safety and security, which won't happen, and dealing with that. So, same.
Common theme on this show, I think.
Yeah.
Both working long hours and the last thing you mentioned, which we don't even like talking about, or do we? I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, I mean, these are the times that try men's souls, and there's really nowhere to go but the truth. And eventually, the laughter and the metaphor and the irony and the self-preservation falls away. And you're left with the same old truths that the old philosophers and poets have all discovered, who've come to this earth and survived it. So I don't know. It's fun. Being human is tiring. I feel like I've reached the top of the mountain, and it's like, okay, I got it.
Being human is tiring. It is tiring. So last time we talked, it was a couple weeks ago, and I asked you about your 15-hour days.
Yeah.
And it's no different today, it sounds like.
Well, I'm calling them 12-hour days now.
Okay.
And
it gives you an extra 3 hours there.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not to say that every single footstep is not measured and every single turn of the faucet and each path from one room to the next is not like I'm watching myself like a professional race car driver, and it's like any time that you lose a quarter of a second, it's like, gotta shave that off next time.
So you I don't know, 15-hour days, 12-hour days. What is the rest of the day? What happens outside of those 12 hours? Sleep?
It's not even really a fair measure, because I mean, all the little things that are required. Let's see. In that 3 hours, I could maybe point to the inefficiencies and the time waste. I don't know. I mean, like, doing dishes is something, it's like, if you want to look at my system and procedure for like how to deal with my mind and my voice and my vision and my thoughts and my momentum. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my long walk without a phone in San Francisco is gorgeous and beautiful, and I mean, taking 3 hours without a phone is incredible.
How often do you do that?
Every day, ideally.
Really?
Yeah.
3 hours without a phone in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And is that part of your 12-hour day, or not part of your 12-hour? Is that a break?
It is.
From your 12-hour day? That's part of it. Okay.
It is. Yeah.
What I'm trying to understand is, when you say it's a 12-hour day, like, what exactly does that mean? I don't mean like, are you working? I mean, does that mean you are pushing the limits that entire 12 hours, or does it mean you're on a schedule and you're trying to get stuff done, or
what is it? It's neither of those.
Yeah.
The actor Bill Murray talks about the importance of being relaxed, and that if you're relaxed, you're better with your enemies, you're better with yourself, you're better with your work, you're better in every way. So when I say a 12-hour day, I mean that I am reading, writing, communicating, speaking, paying close attention and listening very hard in my particular way, and letting things come out of that could never be planned. So, I mean, it's a long, sustained. I mean, you can call it prayer. I mean, I know, I think Claude Monet said you have to work in a way that is like a sustained form of prayer. And it's just doing little things slowly, drip, drip. And it's like my brain is tuned to read the things I read at the speed that I read, right? I can't give you a good number of books I read per month because I don't count my reading in books. But I can tell you that I am in. I don't know. It's like reading, writing, and speaking and thinking almost become indistinguishable, and that you just like you just have to let go and let things happen and let things appear and let things come through you.
So then that sounds good, prayer. But then the remaining 12 hours in the day that you're not sleeping, are you not in prayer then? That's a different thing.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean, like you talk about these 12-hour days where you're very well, you just described it. But then the remaining 12 hours in the day, minus the 6 to 8 hours that you sleep.
Wait, what do you mean? No, like that prayer is like from first, usually like an hour after I wake up. It's that for like 5 to 7 or sometimes 8 or 9 hours, and then I go outside.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And while I'm outside, I'm of course, A, noticing stuff, but B, like really just recalibrating with what it means to be a person on the planet.
Yeah. Not enough people do that.
No, they don't.
I don't think I do. Or if I do, I have to do that in very small amounts of time throughout the day. And I like today I did take a walk. It was maybe an hour long. I had my phone with me, but I don't think I even looked at it. I didn't think to look at it. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'd be curious to hear you explain notifications.
Notifications.
But I also have a lot to say about notifications. You want me to go first? And
yeah, totally. I want to talk about notifications. There's something that everybody in the world has to deal with.
Well, I may disagree. So the only notifications I have are texts. That and calendar appointments, of which I have like 1 or 2 a week. Aside from that, I kind of like dive into the apps, whether Twitter, Instagram, I'll say Facebook and LinkedIn and Tumblr and Medium, and I go there naturally. I do not respond to notifications because I'm very aware of when a human being is sending it and when a computer is, or some planner who does not understand my flow. And I think breaking away from the addiction on, very much like dog behavior, very much like the machine clicks and you look and you obey. It's like I've trained myself off that because it just doesn't respect me. I need to respect myself more.
I don't really have notifications on for many things. Some of them I do, but
I've seen people with it on when their Instagram post gets liked.
It's like, wow. Yeah, man. I can't do that. Yeah.
But even sending you a message on Instagram, it's like, I'm very competent at my inboxes, because it's, I mean, that's the, I mean, connection is really the only way to live. And so I take my relationships very seriously. Now, I think my game is more, rather than, you know, writing X words a day, it's a slow unfolding of coming back to certain relationships, and it unfolds in a particular sequence, right? I mean, what I do push the limits on is number of intense relationships I can tolerate and include, and stay productive and current and innovative with. You know, the singers I collaborate with on Smule have become important. Some of them, you know, at least one of them I'm communicating with in Instagram DMs, and it's like, he's a younger guy who's incredibly talented, and I've realized things that I can like say to him and like send him from either my own page or someone else's page on Instagram, because I think Instagram is like an education if you want it that way, and if you tune it that way, as far as art and also like current perspectives and thoughts and cultural criticisms. Like, the people who are suffering are like recording out loud, and it's like, you got to know how you're going to tune into that. And in general, I'm less political than most people, but I'm very, very careful about where that shows up in my flow of care, just because I think I'm like very dialed into like the governing dynamics of things, and the news of the day is just a new lens on the dynamics that have always been there, right? It's like, I don't blame the pandemic and I don't blame Trump, because it's easy to get caught up in being mad about those, when really, I mean, I just commented this to someone today. It's like, repoliticization is the new engineering. And by that, I mean, you got to reprice and just rethink human gestures and human behavior, and how to include it in an economy, and how to price it and how to make it possible. Because we've got people doing 12-hour days, 7 days a week, banging their head, doing robot tasks, and they're failing their children, and they're failing their friends, and they're failing the environment, and they're failing everywhere. And there's also a bunch of egomaniacs who want to be thought leaders and want to be hosts. You know, you and I are not exempt of this, my friend. And the work is as long and dark and gross as phone calls between you and me should be, where you do the hard work of the soul. And you can look at my tweets from today and the day before and the day before, and it's, you got to wrestle with your shadow. And it's not like, people are so busy trying to archive and back up their mind, whereas it's like, just talk about what's real. Start there and see what becomes possible, what the next thing is you can write. Right? Write the truest thing you know. Don't fucking brag. Don't worry about it being lost. Guess what? You're going to have a whole lot of fucking thoughts and photos you can take. You can live stream anything you want for as long as you live. And there's going to be too much content. Always. The pipe through which it can come into one person is so narrow. You got to be so particular to have one fan that you can sustain over the course of weeks, months, years. It's so much harder than anybody thinks.
Yeah, I just had a thought about how I try to, how I deal with my identity through the apps, and how kind of unsatisfied I am. That's such a Geoff word,
Geoff,
Unsatisfied.
unsatisfied Lewis. I'll take that.
It's, or Geoff, unsatisfied Byron. Um, it's a it's such a thing because I use the apps for different purposes, and some I'm aware of, and some I'm not aware of. Like for instance, I use Twitter mainly to interact with people who, listen to a podcast of mine, or to follow news or something like that. And then I'll use another app to follow friends and family, and then I'll use another one just to express myself and all this stuff. And I realize that when I do that, what I'm doing is I'm 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 I am curating myself for different populations, but different places on, but like different mentalities, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I end up doing this thing where like I have to jump around between different identities constantly throughout the day. And that normally wouldn't be that bad for me. I'm usually pretty good at doing that, except that it really dilutes any one particular thing that I do. It's hard because when you just said just write the truest thing that you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like I'm never doing that. I'm never doing that because I'm always thinking about that identity that I'm curating at any given moment. And I feel like it would be so liberating just to be able to write the truest thing. But truest thing, like that's that's terrifying. Like that's scary. How do I like truest thing for which identity? Oh man. Yeah. I guess that's kind of an existential thing that I don't even realize that I have to deal with every day, but it puts a lot of pressure on me. I know that. And what I've just said, like I don't know if it's what you're talking about or not, but I feel like everybody in the world has to deal with that. And yeah, it comes back to notifications because how am I being notified? How is my phone buzzing in my pocket? Like, what is the method to that madness? What is it communicating to me? I realize that like that answer to that is so different from me to you, or between me and my wife. It's like we're like we're on different planets probably for what those things mean.
I mean, maybe let's think about it in terms of bandwidth and frequency, and that you yourself, your whole self, that true self, is the harmony. Ba 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 ba. It's that arpeggio, and you're always singing that, and you just like in these different kinds of interactions, you like walk your arpeggio over to that input and you blow through it, and each input is different and it renders your output differently.
Yeah, you see that would be a good way to think about it, but instead the way I feel is I'm not only singing in a different key, but I'm in a totally different mode.
Mode. What does that word mean to you in this context?
Well, a mode in music is a different scale. It's a different scale for the same key. So it's basically the way that you add character to a melody in music is you change the scale. So mode is like mode would be there's several different modes for each key, and each one starts on a different note. So it's a way of sounding dramatically different. Basically, instead of singing that ba 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 ba, I feel like I am considering not just the key that I'm starting in, but the note that I'm starting on too. I might start on the second note. I might start on the third note. I might start on the last note and repeat the entire thing, or hell, I might even go backwards. But it's always different, and that I mean I feel like that to me has always been the way that I do that, and then comes the output that is possibly manipulated or whatever. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't think of it beyond that. I really don't. I can't. There's nothing more left in my brain. There's no more room left in my brain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there were 3 or 4 things that I was reminded to come say. Essentially, when 2 people meet, and I mean, like right now in this, podcast format of you speaking and me listening and me processing and me sharing something back. Essentially, I've got access to all of my knowledge, and it's like I could say, okay, I played alto sax from 4th grade through to high school, and I know what sharps and flats mean. I think I know what key signature means. Now, can we like super fast? Like, how can we like be as fast as we can to like you fill in my blind spots and like let me know about you? And it's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like we could push that hard. We could also explore the science of what 2 people can do, right? I mean, we could freaking write a book. There are many books written about collaborators, or there at least must be. Certainly in music, there's plenty. Do any incredible duos come to mind? The melding of 2 musical minds to produce something unprecedented and inimitable.
Of course.
You want to name a few that you love?
Lennon and McCartney.
Okay.
For one.
Okay.
I mean, there's tons. I don't think we need to name any. Why do you point that out? Just because you and I are talking?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, any meeting between prepared minds. It's like there's nothing that Paul and John had that you and I don't, except the years.
I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting frame to put around that.
I mean, Paul was a terrible bass player. All right, you can read this interview that I think I've sent you with Quincy Jones, where he says he met Paul McCartney when he was 21, and the interviewer asks, what were your first impressions about the Beatles? And Quincy says, they're the worst musicians I ever heard.
Well, yeah, I mean, but 10 years doing nothing but playing music will make you a pretty damn good musician.
Yeah. And I mean, their soul was good to begin with, as I think anybody's is. I mean, I don't know. I should know more about the Beatles' background. I mean, I think they're from Liverpool, and it's like, I imagine they're like working class-ish.
Yeah. I don't think you need to be a good musician to make great music, of course. No, not at all. And I believe that more and more the older that I get. But yes, we could probably write a book.
Well, what do you think about the Miles Davis quote that anybody can play? The attitude of the motherfucker who plays it is 80%. The note's only 20%.
I think it's well, let's see. Let's break this down. The attitude. Well, the attitude is important depending on what you're trying to say, I think. I think more than the attitude, or maybe this isn't attitude, it's the conviction behind what you play. Because, I'm a music teacher, so I feel like most of my students, if they lack anything, they lack belief in themselves. Because if they really, man, when you see somebody who believes in themselves, then they can't do anything wrong, and it doesn't matter if they're terrible at what they do anyway, because they're just doing it. It comes from a very honest place. And maybe when I was younger, I would have scoffed at that. But now I think, man, I wish that I had believed in myself throughout my entire life. And now I do believe in myself so much more, and I see how much more that I can do. So I think it's, what would you call it? It's not so much attitude, it's conviction. It's knowing that you love what you're doing. That's what makes a musician great. Knowing that you love what you're doing,
It's a
you are having
fear.
the best time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a fearlessness, right?
Fearlessness,
And
yes.
it's like, I mean, I'll say fearlessness is like, I needed to ask I needed to say a lot of "I don't know" to my landlord, whom I owe money that I don't have.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
Let's talk about fearlessness. Let's talk about
you do it.
fearlessness. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Oof. Yeah, let's talk about fearlessness.
Where do you get fearlessness from? Where does it come from?
I mean, I just think once you get your voice and your vision, there's just no stopping you, and you accept. You have to understand your role as an innovator, and your role as someone who can become great. Right? I'm sort of, I mean, I wish I had excuses. JJ, I wish someone would come into my life and slow me down, because I can't justify doing anything but being insane at the edge all the time until I burn out or wear out. And I will.
Being insane on the edge, though, that has been the place that I've wanted to be. That's the place that I always want to be. I always want to live right there. But I feel like that's a place of, how do you, where do the responsibilities exist in that place in your life? Like, where do the responsibilities?
Again, you do the dishes. I mean, you know what? You keep a clean hand towel for, because I have a roommate. Usually I have 3 roommates. Now, rarely have they all been here at once, but even now during pandemic, 2 of them are gone. But one of them is here. And I need to run the show. So I run a household in addition to running my unceasing spiritual breakdown / breakthrough that I keep up with through art, and trying to monetize and trying to believe I'm worth it. And every day is a terrible, terrible war waged against myself. And I mean, feel free to edit this out. It's like I'm suicidal out loud, and I'm asking myself why I am doing this, thinking this, feeling this, choosing this, what's happening to me. It's like wrestling the devil. I'm wrestling the devil on the beach all day. All day. And I'm assuming, and I know intuitively, that metaphor, that thing I do, is the thing at the center of everything. And that the outer world is fucked because I have not wrestled my thing through yet. And that the only reason that the world or the climate or politics or whatever is fucked is because I have not figured out the key using the technology I have access to, right? Technology. The human being is the technology. And I've got a whole world of shit in my heart and in my head. I don't need a computer is one of it's, yeah. There's an episode to try to keep me reined in on, is what is self-contained in your body and what's on the computer. And the computer is just a passport to other people's mess. Now, I need to model the way for how to mine the mess I've got, right? My heart and my head are a fucking workplace. That plus my memory, plus who I know and who knows me. It's a never-ending thing. And it's like, you can't write enough books, do enough posts, go get ads, go do this. It's like you and me want to go do a Rupert Murdoch media empire. It'll never be enough. We could have Fox News and never be enough until we've, you know, converted every human being on the planet and got pounded our ideology into every layer of their brainstem and ensured it's going to happen for 1,000 generations. And we've figured out how to have a perfect plan for how the plan for when the sun burns out. It's like we could get as stupid as we want, down to analyzing our 6-second brain cycle sprints and who should be in the room. Who should we get on the call? Who should be at the meeting, JJ? Who should we conference in for this little batch of brain cycles we're about to have?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about wrestling with the devil. I want to know how you deal with like your cortisol levels throughout the day, because that sounds like a stressful thing to do, is be going to battle every single day. So, but you can't live in a state of stress constantly. That's fight or flight, right? So how does the fight or flight exist in your life? Is it a mental, yeah, what is it? Do you actually feel the adrenaline? When do you feel the adrenaline?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel it all the time. I mean, I feel it right now.
You can't feel adrenaline all the time. You'd be dead.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I don't really think too consciously or notice or even know how to notice cortisol and testosterone and all the other things, oxytocin. I sort of know that they're there. And I mean, brain chemistry is interesting, and we can talk all day about, you know, what foods to eat and, you know, how to optimize your creativity and what are you know, different
you have to say it in that kind of voice, don't you?
Recipes and cocktails. Well, I mean, singing is part of it, right? Like,
let's talk about singing. So okay. You sing for like 2 hours a day, right? 1 hour?
I would say top to bottom, including breath warm up, vocal warm up, and then recording. There's a lot of community management and communication that happens in there as well, with like looking through the likes and the comments and the messages and like letting those hit me, you know. Like, and
what is the goal of this? What of your singing? What are you trying to do? What do you do?
I mean, the goal is to work on it. The goal is to get better every day and to surprise myself and to make it another day.
That's a good goal.
To come back to the studio and be. I mean, I surprised myself tonight to see how far I've come and what I can do with a 3-octave range.
What do you do with the recordings?
They're there.
Do you listen to them? Do you share them with other people? What do you do? You just leave them there?
I do all of those things. I mean, they're just like tweets. They're just social artifacts that you can put into put in flight.
I still don't really understand how Smule works. So you invited me to join, but I haven't really joined for a couple of reasons. One is I didn't want to subscribe to their service, and then
it's free to start.
Well, it's the free.
The free version is very robust.
But is there? Okay, I wasn't sure. It looked like they wanted. I couldn't tell. It kind of looked like there was a subscription service that you needed to sign up for, even to use the free version, but maybe not.
Nope.
And so you sing, you warm up, then you record, and then these recordings become like tweets, basically, that you share with others.
I mean,
and people follow you and listen to your recordings. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best thing. I mean, if you don't understand it, and to explain it would change what it means to me.
Yeah.
But what I can say is about news feeds and about content and yeah, right. It's like,
how did you discover Smule?
couple different friends mentioned it, but I also knew about the company because for a very brief moment they were a client of mine, and I was sourcing and screening talent to go work at the company. So that's maybe the first time I learned about the company was in 2017. But as a singer, as a user of the service, as a participant in the movement and the mission and vision and values of the organization. Late last year, a friend mentioned it, and then I think I got on in January of this year. No, so I can explain what it is. It's front-facing video and the song's playing in your ears, and then the words appear on the screen and kind of like the lyrics cycle through, and there's a part that you sing alone, there's a part that they sing alone, there's a part that you sing together. And there's a huge songbook, much like a karaoke bar, has that big binder that you can search through. There are also composers on the platform who are creating songs for others to sing. Singers can open up a song and do what's called an OC, an open call. Like I could go right now and go find Viva La Vida by Coldplay and say, okay, I want to open this up and I want to do my contribution to it. And then I'm going to open it up to be either a duet, where it will both appear in the songs available to sing right now for anybody, but it also appears in the feed where people I follow and who follow me are there, and sometimes like scroll through the feed. Plus there's a whole section for invites of people you follow. So I've got a feed daily of 60 to 100 new songs that people I follow have opened up. And it's a lot of stuff I don't know. Some stuff I do know. You can bookmark the invites, right? Just like, it's like, I'm going to like go shopping for what I could sing tonight. I did that today. It's like, ooh, let's see who opened up what. And all of a sudden it's like, I've got a menu of 10 songs to sing tonight. So, and then of course, quite often they will look and listen to the joins. That's what those are called. When you join a song, they'll watch and listen, and they'll, there's of course you can love it, you can favorite it, you can send a gift. There's free gifts you can send, either a star or a thumbs up, but mostly you can comment, and you can write a comment, and you got all your emojis there. There's also DMs and messages. So
it's totally social media. So how is the art manifested in this for you?
I think in any art you bring your whole self to it, and you give it everything you've got, and you play your heart out.
Yeah, that works.
As I've told you before, I think, fall is my time, and it's my birthday is late October. I'm a Scorpio. But fall for poets is a very deep time where we're in touch with the slowness and the darkness, and also just like the depth of the history and like the importance of the harvest. And so, all the trauma and heartbreak of my life, which I'm too well acquainted with, Jeffrey. I'm too well acquainted with it, because I've sat and written 10,000 pages and done this ghastly war against myself out as many hours as I can for like 7 years now. And now it's like I don't really remember much before that, in a sense. It's like that's what my body's made of if the cells in the body turn over every 7 years. It's like I'm fucking made of all of this study and reflection. And so, guess what? Trauma doesn't get resolved. You just learn how to carry it. And so when you step into the studio and you sing a song
Do you only sing stuff that you know well?
Yes. Sometimes I'll take risks where it's like songs that I know I used to like, Phil Collins' True Colors, butchered the hell out of that two nights ago. I thought I knew what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing at all. And you get in there and it's like, well, you can either delete the recording, you can start over, or you just finish it out. And it's like, there's nothing, I mean, you know this better than me. It's like when you're on stage, it's like it's like being on the sports field. It's like things start going wrong. It's like, well, you're going to have to bear the uncomfortable moments of trying to get your ass off that stage and get through the gig and do a good enough job. And they are going to throw tomatoes, and you got to get hit with a fucking tomato. Know the taste of a tomato in your mouth that got thrown by the crowd. Like, you got to know the taste of failure. And it's like, again, go read the shit I've tweeted in the last month. The taste of, I'm made of bitterness. I'm the worst. I'm the worst person on earth. I'm tired of it, and I'm just full of bitterness. And all I do is taste it. And it's you got to get through it.
Yeah, I think I'm full of bitterness too. Except I guess I've learned how to live with my trauma. I think. Nah, that's not true. I'm just good at being okay with it in the room.
Yeah,
I mean, I can just say, hey, trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think that's another thing that happens as you get older too. You start to realize that those skeletons aren't going away, and you say, "All right, come on in. Let's hang out. I'm going to give you a name. You're going to be Fred. You're going to be Albert." And then they start to be reminders of a person that you actually are, that that has the potential to come out at any time. And I think, like, one of the reasons I ask you where the art in singing on Smule, which, like, where's the art in karaoke? There's tons of art. The art is expressing yourself, just like anything. And to me, I feel like I'm expressing myself constantly throughout the day, but I'm only expressing myself to myself. That's the only person that I care to express myself to. I mean, I'm not on stage anymore. I mean, even when we're recording a podcast, I'm not talking to anyone live other than you, and I'm not on stage for you right now. So it's all about me. Sorry, Geoff. It's all about me. But how
it is all about me. I know.
it's a constantly expressing myself, and it all comes back to, well, using the apps. I whenever I open an app, I stop and I think, how am I expressing myself? Which is the most unnatural way to express yourself ever. To ask yourself how you're expressing yourself.
Yeah, there was a good tweet last year about the person said, there's a bunch of famous authors that I've decided to unfollow on Twitter because all they seem to do is ask, am I interacting properly? Which is, of course, what happens when you get big, and I've read a good article about the cost of fame, right? All of a sudden, you got to put more process around what you do.
Oh yeah.
Rather than just right now, I'm going to close my eyes and go deep and just rip from the bottom of my roots and give you the best fruit that I've got. And no one's ever seen a mango this juicy.
Oh yeah, no, you like, right now is the best time of your life. Whoever is listening right now is the best time of your life. True. Because you can do whatever you want. Unless you're already a celebrity and there's a billion people following you, then you've got a serious responsibility. But I feel like everybody is playing the game of more. Everyone's playing the game of more. Everybody wants more. If they're online, they might want more social standing. They might want more money. Whatever it is, that's a game that we all decided that we were going to play, even though no one asked me.
No one decided it, but
That,
we found ourselves drawn to it.
I don't know. Someone may have decided it, but it definitely wasn't me. And, but the thing is that like we don't even realize what the you don't no one knows how to win the game. No one knows how to win that game. We're just playing it because we got to play some game, I guess, and that's what it is.
So I mean, the game ends when someone wins.
But how would somebody win the game of more? There's infinity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, time keeps coming, and even if we're 2020 only means something because what Jesus of Nazareth, did a thing, made some content,
2,000-year-old baby, yes,
started a community, had some fire content, got in a little audience, and it's like, well, what is a year? What does it mean? How many of them are there left? How many of them have there been?
Right? It depends on who you are.
It does. And maybe also who you're becoming.
Yeah, maybe.
How about that for a mathematical wave function? You've got who you are and who you're becoming. And it's like, how much oscillation can you get? And I don't know. I mean, and I think this is like getting old is like you bring that oscillation down, right? You and I, if we want to stunt our personal growth, we could go get jobs and max out our salary and get safe and set a monthly shopping list and budget clearly and pay all our bills on time and find parking spots. We could do that. And we could maybe have a nice funeral of like 50 to 200 people. And they'd say nice things and they put you in a ground in a spot. And that would be that. And you'd be very, very polite. You'll be remembered as being very nice.
Could do that. You're right.
You're such a nice guy.
People would say all kinds of things that may or may not have been true.
Now, do you want to tell me what Steve Albini would say about this?
I don't know what Steve Albini would say about that exactly. I mean, Steve Albini is somebody who he might say something, but he might live a completely different thing because he went out and got a job. He created his job, but it's still a job for him, and he likes doing that job. He is the most blue collar of record producers, and I've always thought he was an enigma because it doesn't even really seem like he enjoys what he does. It seems like he's doing it because no one else is going to do it, and somebody has to. and his whole ethos about how you're supposed to be in a rock band seems very prescribed. It seems very prescribed to me in a particular way. But then again, I don't know. Steve Albini is somebody who knows more about music than I ever will, probably. So I can't speak for him.
I'll give you two choices of where to go down. One, how to be in a rock band. And two, I believe it was David Byrne's book called How Music Works.
Yeah.
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Well, David Byrne's book is pretty expansive book. There's a lot of material there. How to be in a rock band, I don't know how to do that anymore. That I don't even know if that is a thing anymore. That's like a pastime. That's like going to see a movie.
Being in a rock band is like going to see a movie.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's probably more like making a movie, but to me, being in a rock band is like going to see a movie and that they're both things that people used to do that they might not do anymore. I mean, yeah. I mean, talk about Steve Albini. He's somebody who spent his entire life recording bands that have guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. Not a whole lot more than that. It's pretty much it. Maybe some keyboards thrown in there, but like that's his universe. His universe is shaped like that kind of sphere, and so like. So how to do that? Well, that's like a very niche hobby now. When for a long time and as part of my life, it was a big universe. But now it's something that's I don't know how to do anything. Believe in yourself. Miles Davis. It's all about the attitude.
Well, one thing Miles says that I've maybe said on this podcast before, he says, I'll play it first and I'll tell you what it is later.
Yeah.
And that might be my ethos in one line, if I had to do one line. And it's
that's a really hard thing to do if you are working with other people, though, because that doesn't work if everybody does that at the same time, unless everyone does that all at the same time. Oh, here's something. So being in a rock band, everybody can play it first and decide what it means later, or decide what it is. I think that was David Lynch, actually. It was play it first and decide what it means later. But everybody in the band can do that, but they all at least have to decide when they're going to stop doing that, and it needs to be at the same time. As long as you all stop at the same time, people will think that you did it all in sync, and you had planned it that way.
Well, you also, and I think here's where we can talk about culture or about chemistry, but also about like bandwidth and notifications and news feeds. It's like you all got to create a rereading and editing language. It's like you've all got to look at yesterday's mess. And it's tough when you've got, say John, Paul, George, and Ringo. You've got 4 personalities and 4 sensibilities and 4 degrees of seriousness. And, one cares about God, one cares about love, one cares about, X, Y, Z. Like, shared culture is like the hardest thing. And shared work ethic is the hardest thing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't watch all of the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, but I often feel like Michael in that when I am there, like, I'm pushing myself as hard as I can, and that's going to be my life. And I won't be slowed down by people who don't. I think I make it worth it. And it's not about my ego, but it's because we're capable of doing the work. And I'm not 40 yet. I'll be 34 in 2 weeks. It's a different tune when you're older physically and you have a wife. Certainly. It would be cool, I don't know, to like go slow, but also it's like you could die any moment. And so there is no, again, it's like jobs are such horseshit because it's like, here, we'll pay you this like salary. It's like, yeah, take a year. I don't wait for fucking shit. I do not wait. Like, I learn something and then that makes a new rule and I build on that and I'm ready for the next thing.
Well, a job doesn't have to not be that. We're in an age of define your own everything, I feel like. And that's what you're doing right now. I mean, sure. You can go out and get a job that is listed, and you can interview along with 12 other people for
yeah.
You can do that. That's a thing. That's how people find people to do stuff.
And it all comes down to this: like, what do you do while you're waiting in line? and while you're waiting to be picked, and while someone else is making the decision about your future and where you'll fit, what do you do? Do you go on Netflix? Do you do Spotify Discover? Do you find your favorite creators? Do you read Facebook and Instagram to see your friends and family posting pictures of their vacations and their dogs and their dinners?
Yeah, you're talking about my adventures in boredom, which is a very specific thing, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm still doing it. I'm getting better at it, trying to find the lowest common denominator of boredom in my life, and trying to learn how to be bored again. Because what do I do in those moments where I'm waiting? What anybody does in those moments are like the more you can not think about what you are doing while you are waiting, the more you will find what you really want to do. That's the only way I can describe it right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where that common identity comes from, because in that moment, you can choose one of 5 things to do, and 5 things to like check in on, right? If there's, say, 5 branches of life, like work, love, health, spiritual, and like, I don't know, friends, family, rest, nature, whimsy. And it's like, well, you've always got a next step to make, right? If you're like spinning plates, it's like, have you listened to your wife enough today? Probably not. I've had significant others. They can't be listened to enough.
That's true. Yeah, I guess my wife is pretty cool. But that's because, well, I guess when it comes to finding a wife, you got to find somebody who is just as excited about that journey as you. Because if not, then you're done. You're done.
Just as excited about what journey exactly?
Whatever it is, just excited about the boredom as they are about the space shuttle, like everything, like just as you know, so like somebody who is just excited about going to battle with the devil, just as excited about that.
Yeah.
Which might not seem like an exciting thing to do, but you still do it every day, so there's got to be something in it.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm as, yeah.
And if not excited, then at least willing to put on the armor and go to war.
Yeah. Game. And then also, having the skills, or the courage, really, it's about courage to, if you happen to accidentally leave your armor at home, to still know how, come down in the pit with me and love me, even if you don't know the way out. And it's like, well, you trust that you'll relearn your equipment and you'll upgrade it on the way. And that if he's down there in the well, it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to get back. But, and this we can lead back into some lyrics and an artist and a song, Death Cab for Cutie, I Will Follow You Into the Dark, which I just happened to sing in my set tonight. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what will happen, and you just have to go. And I don't know. We can get that transition right next time, but because there's a profound thing I wanted to say, and it totally fell flat when I brought it out of my head.
Yeah, but that happens.
It happens. So we can
part of doing the realest thing that you can do. Sometimes the smartest thing you can say is pretty dumb.
We are 10 seconds away from 60 minutes. Do you want to do some station identification?
You do the station identification.
No. You do it. This is your act. This is your show.
All I can say is, like, we don't have a name for this show, so this has been Geoff Lewis and JJ Byron.
I have an idea for the name of the show.
What's that?
The Unsatisfied Podcast.
The Unsatisfied.
Because we both said that we're not satisfied.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it. Thank you for listening to the Unsatisfied Podcast.
I love it.
I feel like we need to continue talking for an hour.
Well, we can go a little longer. I don't mind.
Well, no, I'm gonna feel that no matter what, because
that's sweet of you to say. Me too.
But I'm also just unsatisfied.
Well, we need partners, and we have partners. We are blessed with many brothers and sisters and friends and colleagues in dissatisfaction, and that's true. Like, it's also still, as we said earlier, it's the best moment of your life for anybody listening. For you, for me, for someone who isn't you and me, which is many people aren't you or me. By the way, I often forget that. Usually, I'm the only one in the universe.
It's the best. It's the most important moment of your life. How's that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, everybody. Well, have a good night.
Good night.